a little bit. Yeah.
Hey everybody, Josh Brown here, managing editor with Geist Magazine. We're hanging out at the Sun King Tap Room off 96 with Building A Refuge partners Erik Robinson and Brandon Leum. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So we're hanging out today. November's right around the corner. Next week, which is crazy to think about. It seems like we didn't even have fall. It's just flying through here. But we're hanging out with these guys. We're talking about just a bunch of men's health, men's mental awareness events coming up, and you guys are bringing to Fishers in November. Erik, Building a Refuge is kind of something you got started, Brandon along with you. How did you come up with this idea for this organization?
Yeah, so Building a Refuge is basically a gathering of guys, three guys, myself, Mike, and Brandon, who have all been through life experiences. And somehow we've managed to make it through them. And we've learned, for lack of better terms, some coping mechanisms to make them through those things. And so really, our life experiences have brought us to this point where the three of us have just gotten together. We've got a heart for men who are suffering. We've got a heart for guys who have put themselves into isolation. And we just want to help to try to bring them up out of that dark time. Through some of the events that we've got going on in November and also going forward. One of the things that Brandon and Mike and I talked about quite a bit was we didn't want to just be a one event type thing. We didn't want to come, give some information, provide some hope, and then pat them on the back and say good luck, fellas.
Yeah.
You know, so it's an ongoing thing for us, and we the three of us have kind of just got an all-in type approach to where we're in this for the long haul. But basically, Building a Refuge is an event. This initial event on November 3rd at Fishers High School from 9 to 12 is a group of people who have just been through some stuff. They've been through hard times. They've been through ups and downs. They've been through anxiety, depression. We have one speaker, actually two speakers, that have had close loved ones who have committed suicide, been through that. And so we just want to provide an opportunity for men to come, to let their hair down a little bit, not feel any pressure, to have to contribute to anything, discuss anything, talk about anything. Just come hear messages of hope. And then hopefully at that point in time, they'll want to continue on with some of the programs that we've got moving forward.
Yeah, awesome. And Brandon, when Erik kind of came to you with this idea, obviously you guys are friends. I mean, what did you think? How did you think this would go?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I think Erik and I have known each other for quite a long time, and we probably were distant from one another for about the same amount of time. I think early on when we first met one another. So Erik and I were neighbors back in probably the early mid '90s, and like anybody does, you move to a different place in Fishers or a different location, and we were separated for many years. And as Erik kind of talked about, just going through life experiences, I lost my brother to suicide 3 years ago, and even as a sibling, going through that experience has been a tough one. It's been a learning one, but without kind of how this has developed, it certainly would have been a lot tougher. So, but through some pretty amazing friends and how life happens, we were reconnected again. And so Erik and I have spent a lot of time, coffee shops, just hanging out, coming here at Sun King Brewery, hanging out, just kind of talking about life and how we got to where we are. And as I said to Erik the other day, man, you know, I said, I know I'm right where I need to be right now, and I think that's the kind of genesis of all this. But, you know, Mike asked the question to us not long ago. We were having coffee together, and you know, who wakes up on January 1st and says, I want to better my mental health, especially men, right? Since we're kind of taking a look at that. And I think it's a really interesting question. I mean, we can always say, hey, we want to lose weight, or maybe you're a smoker and want to quit smoking, or whatever, right? You want to do something like that. But who really says, I want to better my mental health? And so it's like we kind of strip that down and said, where do you start? And I think really that's kind of where all these ideas started to kind of flourish and grow. And Mike Rekoff, you know, guy that I've just gotten to meet over the past year, super great guy, and been through some pretty tough challenges in his own life and his own family, and so we've just kind of come together, and this is where we're at today. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and Mike, obviously with his foundation, has probably been huge in helping. He's a part of this as well, right? And helping kind of facilitate and give his input on events as well.
the groundwork that he's done to develop, the way that Mike sees his organization and the way that we view this is we are a conduit to other mental health providers. The problem that I had when I was going through my struggles was I didn't know there was help out there. I didn't know what existed. I knew that there was basically two options for me. Either I was going to go somewhere and get doused with medication, or I was going to get locked up. And that's not realistic.
Well, that's probably what most men think.
Yeah, and that's what we think. And so that's where my thought process was. So of course, there's no way in the world I'm going to do that. And so what did I do? I decided my coping mechanism was to isolate. And so when that isolation starts, that's when that darkness starts to hit. And so Mike has done an amazing job in bringing all these different healthcare organizations together to be a conduit to them so that we can meet guys where they're at. And he's done it through his teen organization, but a lot of these mental health facilities, institutions that we work with, they service teen and men. So it's been adults, I should say, men and women. So it's just been a natural progression for us to be able to kind of lock horns with those guys, and they're going to be present at the November 3rd meeting and going forward. Groups like Collaborative Change who come in and they're going to do a men's cafe for us that's going to continue on for some time, and it's an ongoing partnership with us that's going to help to facilitate conversation between men. It's not easy to get a bunch of dudes into a room and start to talk. Nobody wants to do that, but we really, in our heart, we really do want to do that, because that's what I needed the most. I needed people around me. And I had that. I just didn't know it. And so that's this Building a Refuge has developed out of pain. And what's beautiful about that is that we're examples of what beauty can come from pain. What beauty can come from our stories, what beauty can come from our testimony, but also helping the guys to understand that just because we are here, just because we're doing this, because we're doing the event, doesn't mean that we don't still deal with that stuff on a day-to-day basis. We still have the ups and the downs. It's just the fortunate thing is we've realized that community around us, and we've realized the coping mechanisms, the healthy coping mechanisms to get us through that. That's all we're trying to do. It's all we're trying to do is help those guys to, number one, see hope. We're a conduit for all the other mental health facilities, and we also want to give them a platform to be able, when they're ready, to tell their story if they want to, in whatever manner that looks like.
It's like, it's a resource refuge, right? I was just talking with Erik. We talked about this not too long ago, and I think if when you look at putting this together, right, there's a big population of men, and I guess I'd just reinforce, November is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we kind of, when you think about why we picked this month to do it, I feel a little weird. You guys got beards. I don't have a beard, right? But
I don't know if you can call mine a beard.
I'm going to try. All right? It will not look good at the end of December or at the end of November, but I'm going to try my best.
You guys are piggybacking a little bit on November, the No Shave
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and it's fun, right? Who doesn't? You got a good reason to go to work and say, hey, I'm trying this, right? So, but I think in terms of that, really, building a resource refuge, a resource avenue for people is really the focus, right? So somebody comes to us and says, hey, I need this. Well, we have an avenue for whatever that might be. If we don't, we'll find it. I think that's the great part about this. So it's been certainly exciting to see it grow and get to this point. And quite frankly, as exciting as that is just learning from the people that I've come across, and I'm sure you have too, learning from what we're doing, because we get to talk about it, and I think that's the most exciting part.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and for me, I had the pleasure of writing this story for Fishers and Geist magazine on November issues, which will be hitting mailboxes next week. Erik, you and I got to meet a couple of weeks ago and kind of talk in depth about this, and really what hit me the most, you give a little bit more in depth of your story in our article, which you should totally check out. It's fantastic. Not because I wrote it, because the story. Because
you did a great job on it, though.
Because the story is awesome. But one of the main aspects we kept coming back to really was what you just said. If anything, it's about building relationships. Guys coming and maybe they don't want to talk. Maybe they're showing up not planning on talking all day. Maybe their wives tell them, hey, you need to go.
That's right.
And they come and they make new friends.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
They have people they can open up with. How big is that? You want relationships to come out of this for guys to realize, hey, you're not alone here. That's
Yeah.
the headline we went with our story. You're not alone. You're not the only people that only guys that deal with stuff like
That's
this,
right.
right?
You know, that's one of the biggest things I've got since we started doing this, since I started making my story, I guess, for lack of a better term, public.
Right.
Was almost every time I'll sit down and I'll talk with someone, either individually or in a group or whatever it may be, and I'll tell them and share my struggles and share the things that have gone on in my past, and they'll be like, "Well, I've got this going on," and what that does is it immediately, you can see it in their body language, it changes, and that pressure comes off their shoulders, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm not the only screw up in this room." You know what I mean? And when you can get to a point where you realize that you're broken, because that's what I struggled with the most, was the pride and the ego side of things. Was I didn't want to admit that I was broken. But the fact is, it's okay, because we all are. Whether you want to admit it or not, we're all broken.
Yeah.
And so when you get to a point, and that's what we're saying is, when you come, don't feel like you got to immediately bring your baggage and just like pour it out on the table.
Right.
That's not. I wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah.
When I was at my darkest time, there's no way you're gonna get me to come out and do that.
Right.
All I'm asking for guys to do is just come and listen to the stories. We got 5 speakers that day. It's a 3-hour event. Lunch, breakfast provided. It's free. Man, just come out and hang out with us, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you about the follow-up events we've got going on. There's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. I just, when we were talking about this event, how do we get guys? Because we could put on elaborate things all day long, but
Right.
if guys aren't going to come, what's the point? And so every time we thought about marketing, every time we thought about however we're going to get the word out about this thing, I thought about myself, and my journey took me to my basement for a week, to where at the end of that week, there was an attempt on my life.
Yeah.
And so that is my frame of reference when I'm thinking about the guys that I really want to be sitting in those seats. There's 2 types of people I want in those seats. There's the guy that's struggling, and there's the guy that's riding with the guy that's struggling.
Yeah.
And because I need them there the most, because that is important.
Right.
That's important, that we get that guy there to help him, to help his friend, or to help his brother, or to help his son, whatever it may be. Because the ages that we're focusing on right now are men 16 and up. We didn't go lower than 16.
Fathers can come with their
fathers and
teenagers.
sons,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, bring
welcome
your
it.
teenage son. You know, bring your college age son. You know, and just hang out as a father and son. I'd love to see that, man. That does my heart good when I see that stuff, because the thing that I don't want to just focus on. You know, Brandon and I talked about this. We don't want to just focus on the S word, right? The suicide. You know, we don't want to just focus on that. In my situation, for a long period of time, for almost a 2-year period of time, I was so in a dark place where I was in that depression and anxiety. I was living with it daily, but I wasn't being the dad or the husband that I really wanted to be.
Right.
And I knew it, and that was where the guilt factor came in. And so we're not just talking about, you know, preventing suicide. We're talking about being dads and fathers and all that stuff, and what it takes in order to learn those coping mechanisms on a daily basis, to be able to be the dad that you really want to be,
Right.
to be able to be the husband you really desire to be. And so that's what it's all about. It's different stories that we feel. We've got a veteran that's going to come in and talk. He's got an amazing story.
Yeah.
We've got the director of AFSP, which is a huge partner of us, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Kelsey's going to come in and tell her story, which will blow their doors off. We've got Chris Tanner, who's got an amazing story. She talks about the loss of her husband to suicide. So it's stories of tragedy, but then hope. And giving these guys, that's our goal, is by the end of that thing, we want to provide hope, and then give them the next steps.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit, map out the events for us. It kicks off November 3rd, right? I think
Yep.
at Fishers High School.
Yep.
Kind of map out the events for everyone that's coming up in November, so
Sure.
guys can know.
So November 3rd is at Fishers High School. It's in the LGI room. You'll enter in the front of the building at the administrative side of things. It's from 9 to 12. That'll be a 3-hour event. You know, if you want to show up around 8:45.
And these are all free events.
All free.
Oh, yeah.
Everything's free.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't pay a dime. And we won't be asking for donations.
Right.
Just come hang out, man.
We'll
Just
be
come.
passing a plate around.
Yeah, no plates.
And that's what the other thing that I want to make sure and not miss out on is our amazing partners in this thing. But the November 3rd event, like I said, is a bunch of speakers, and then we'll have a forum at the end, and we've got some really cool stuff that's going to happen that day that I won't ruin that surprise. But and then follow that up on Monday, that following Monday, so that would be the 5th. Here at Sun King Brewery at Fishers, we're just going to come and hang out. We might have somebody talk for 10 or 15 minutes. We haven't really decided on that yet. But really, it's just an opportunity for guys who have seen something that they liked, possibly saw a little bit of hope, a little speckle of hope there, and then they want to continue on with that. Sun King has been an amazing partner to where they've been able to just free up the conference room, their party room over there, and they said, just come and do your thing. And so then following that, on November 13th, we've got an amazing partner in Collaborative Change. Collaborative Change is it's in a nutshell, they come and they facilitate conversations. So they're going to do a men's cafe for us. It's really cool. I actually just met with them right before this, and we've got it all laid out and exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And I think that guys are really going to enjoy that, because it's not an intimidating environment to where we can just all hang out and it can be low key. And then one that I'm really excited about is the last event at Harley Davidson. So that collaborative change event is going to happen at Harley Davidson. Harley has literally rolled out the red carpet for us and have been an amazing partner over there. And so they have given us their facility, free of charge, and said, come here and use it all you want to. And so on December 1st, leading up to this, the 3 events we've had have all been men. Now what we want to do is we want to get all the families together. We want to meet your wives. We want to meet your kids. So Harley has we're going to have barbecue there, full spread by City Barbecue. They're another amazing partner of ours. They're going to provide all the food that day. We're going to have a band there. We're going to have a barber there. It's going to cut all our beards. We're going to have a picture and everything. So it'll really be a cool event, and we're just going to kind of open that to the public, and everybody can kind of come. It's going to kind of be that tailgate atmosphere. It's from 4 to 8 on December 1st, Saturday, December 1st. So we're going to have football games on and kind of
wrap everything up.
Yeah, and then give them next steps going forward. The continuing meetings with Collaborative Change. If guys want to be in a small group, we can pair them up and they can be in a small group.
Maybe guys have created friendships throughout this month.
The whole idea is to meet them where they're at.
Right.
And if they want if they want more of a faith-based scenario, we've got people we can plug them into for faith-based small groups. We got just hangout small groups. I got a friend of mine who does a men's ministry, and they meet every night or every week around a campfire.
Right.
And so we're going to meet you where you're at. And hopefully provide you an avenue of your interest.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like an amazing event. And Brandon, I know you've had a big hand, especially in probably helping with sponsorship. There's a ton of great sponsors. That's why we're at Sun King today. They're helping out. Talk a little bit, as you kind of dove into this and started reaching out to people, the excitement from them, because it sounds like something that people were happy to jump into.
Yeah, I mean, as Erik kind of talked about, throughout all the events we've had, I think great sponsorship from a lot of folks. And it's one of the things that Mike and I and Erik, when we talked earlier about, we never thought that probably getting sponsorship was going to be a really difficult thing, and it's really not. I mean, I think because once you explain a little bit about what we're doing and the goal at the end of the day, I think that folks are willing. If it fits into the budget and everything aligns, it's gonna be just something they do. And I think future on they'll do it. So as Erik kind of talked about, City Barbecue in Fishers, great. Great place to eat. I'm sure a lot of folks watching today, they've eaten there. I mean, I love the green beans, so hopefully we get a lot of green beans. But and the barbecue is good too. I mean, Sun King Brewery here in Fishers. I think Harley Davidson has been, as Erik said, been super.
And that facility is awesome. Brand new. It's huge.
Brand new.
It looks awesome.
They've got a huge conference center.
I'll plug a little bit. If anybody wants to jump in and help us out, you're more than welcome. Just contact Erik or I or you, and we'd be more than welcome to bring more people aboard. Because again, I think going back to what we're really trying to get to, it's a resource refuge, right? I mean, I think it would be super if Erik and I and Mike could say, yeah, we can handle it all. But there's There's no way in hell that can happen.
Right.
I mean, it just can't. It can't happen without the strength and I think the power in numbers, right? So, at the end of the day, we got a lot of great sponsorships. I think as this thing continues the event continues to grow, there'll be future events I think that we're already thinking about in 2019 that will be fun. Again, I can't, emphasize enough. I've been to a lot of events, just what I've gone through in my life, and this feels a little different. Although there are certainly the stories of struggle and hope, as Erik's talking about. Erik said it best. We're going to meet you right where you're at. So we certainly don't want folks to think that you're going to come into this and it's going to be the same thing that you've witnessed in the past.
Right.
Although all of them are great. I mean, I've taken great things away from every event that I've been at and different groups that I've been a part of. I've attended a lot of suicide survivor groups and kind of, I guess if you want to call it therapy sessions. They've all been good. Everything has been great with it. I've learned a great deal from it. But I think that's just another resource here at this event for anybody that has gone through it as a sibling, as a cousin, as a whatever,
father, friend.
I mean, it's just all about coming and sharing your story and commonality. And I think we got 3 great listeners, and we're passionate about it. And I thank all the sponsors. I think talking to those guys, as you asked earlier, I mean, once you kind of talk a little bit about where we're going with this, they've really opened their arms up to it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like an awesome event. Again, I think what makes it so unique is, like you guys said, you're having speakers that are sharing some stories, but every event you're not throwing speakers at people. I mean, you're wanting to build friendships and relationships so people can hang out.
Hey, if we get one person to show up here, man, guess what? That's good.
It'll be worth it.
We'll be happy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the idea. Because the reason I'm here today, the reason that I'm alive, is because of the community that came around.
Right.
Yeah. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And
there
so
would be a lot of hope if you did.
Right. And so that's really what we are trying to not provide, but facilitate, is the ability to come in and create community and get guys around who are like-minded and build that. Yeah. I had a friend of mine teach me about proximity, and you're never really affected by something until it hits you directly.
Right.
And unfortunately, and I'm not sure maybe we shouldn't talk about it, but last night, Fishers got hit with proximity.
Yeah. Sudden deaths.
Yes. We got hit 2 teachers that are valued teachers, and all the children and their families and all those people that are affected. We got hit hard with proximity.
Those things shake the community.
They do. Yeah. They do. And unfortunately, as I've been getting more and more involved in this, it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to be mad at that.
Right.
And I think that really is what is driving the 3 of us. Is there's a little bit of anger, but there's a whole lot of hope.
Right.
Because somehow we made it through it.
Yeah.
And we just want to show that to guys.
Yeah. Well, I think a big thing to mention too for those watching or joining us today. Yeah, most of these events are all in Fishers, but you guys, and this is open to men anywhere.
Yeah, we hope
County.
We hope we go worldwide with it. Not to throw out a Step Brothers there, but
No, our hope is, and I'm glad you just said that, because we just recently partnered up with St. Vincent's,
right?
And our hope is to take this throughout Central Indiana.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And again, the big dream is to take this and spread it as far as it'll go. But right now, it's just basically a geographic location.
Right.
If you're from Greenwood, if you're from, Avon,
anywhere in Hamilton County,
I don't
Absolutely.
care. Just come. If you're hurting, I don't care where you're from.
Come and hang out and have some good food.
Because the cool thing about that partnership is that we can find you resources where you live.
Right.
Everything's not just located up here. We've got it. They're all over the city.
Right.
So Collaborative Change, our partner that does the Men's Cafe, they do stuff all over the city.
Right.
So it's not just here. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I mean, it's an incredible event. Like I said, it was an honor to write it. It was a lot of fun to talk about because I think it's something that's huge.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men, like you said, are kind of, even that just deal with just moderate daily, depression, anxiety, work, whatever it may be. They just feel like they have to bottle it up because they're in, right?
Right.
And you don't. That's why you have friends to talk to. So if you're watching this, you're going through anything, definitely come hang out with these guys. The event starts off next week, kicks off throughout November. Stories up online on Geist Magazine, Facebook and Twitter account. We actually posted the story online yesterday. It's on our November cover this month, which is, again, hitting mailboxes next week. So grab a copy of that. It's laid out there, the events, the schedule, and everything. And Brandon, Eric, thanks again, man.
Thank you guys very much for taking your time out.
Yeah, we
and
appreciate
great
it.
article, by the way. It's awesome.
We appreciate it. These are the stories that we love telling the community. And letting them know
My
about.
hope is that it's not just us three on the next cover. There's 100, 150
Yeah.
men that are on the front of that thing who have been changed.
Yeah.
That's our hope.
Yeah, that would be incredible. So
That's right.
thanks again, everybody.
Thanks a lot,
for joining
everybody.
us today.
Yep.
See you again soon. Thanks.